It is time to say goodbye to some of these lovely and beautiful books that I've had for a while, but no, I probably won't read, or I've read and didn't like them enough to keep them. And so that is what we're doing today. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Melanie, and today I'm doing my first ever book unhaul video, I think. I'm pretty sure. I've definitely unhauled books without filming since I started my booktube channel, but this is the first official one, and it's probably the biggest book unhaul I've ever done, which, to be fair, it's not going to be like so big. I haven't even counted how many books I plan on unhauling yet, but it's big for me. And then I have a couple of Kalen's books in here as well that he decided to unhaul. So the goal today is to show you what I'm getting rid of from the books that I've read, as well as books that I haven't read, and then a bunch of special editions that I don't plan on reading. In terms of what I'm planning to do with the books, I was thinking about trying to sell some of the special editions, but it's just the amount of like time and effort that takes isn't worth what the costs I'll get back, or the money I'll get back. And so I thought it would be nice. I've previously volunteered at a place called Covenant House, which is a youth homeless center focusing on LGBTQ plus and minority kids. And so I thought, why not send some pretty books their way? I already messaged them a while ago, and they said they definitely are interested in any books, and so like YA and adult. So I thought that would just be the best option, so I know it's going to a good place and a lot of people will be able to use them moving forward. Some of these I am going to keep aside for Little Free Libraries. Chelsea from Librarians and Lattes inspired me to do a Little Free Library video eventually, so I gotta keep some books for that. Not too many though. And so I'll just get started right from the top. First book we have is Pride and Prejudice and Zombies by Jane Austen and Seth Grahame-Smith. This book I got at a used bookstore because I love Pride and Prejudice. I have heard of this. I've seen the movie also, which was fine. I mean, I didn't really watch the whole thing, honestly, but I thought it would be fun to like reread Pride and Prejudice, but in a zombie format. And I just don't think I'll ever actually do it. So I do love the cover of this book. It's really cool. That's also kind of partially why I got this book, but it's time to give it a new home, hopefully for someone who will actually read it. And I am planning to reread the actual Pride and Prejudice book recently, so that's my goal. You can't see Picard right now, but he's acting super cute right now, so I have to give him some love. The next two books are books I got in, I think, TikTok blind date with the books, which I learned my lesson. I just don't think I should be doing blind date with the books. Maybe bookstore ones, but just general ones, I'm not most likely going to read the books that they send my way, which doesn't mean that they're bad. I just don't have a desire to read them. Like, the synopsises weren't that interesting to me. And so we have first The Death of Sir Martin Malperlet, I don't know how to say that, by Adam Roberts. This, I think, was a historical fiction pick, because I like historical fiction, but this just didn't interest me. But it is set in the UK. So yeah, that was one blind date with the book. And then the other one was a horror pick, and this one was Don't Look Back, Some Mysteries Are Not Meant to Be Solved by Ben Cheatham. This one, yeah, I don't know, just not interesting to me. And it's kind of funny, like, these might be self-published books because they kind of have the same cover vibe. But yeah, I'm sure someone else will actually really enjoy reading them, but I just don't think that'll be me. The last blind date with a book that I am getting rid of, which is one I unboxed on the channel, and that is Half Sick of Shadows by Laura Sebastian. This one is like a King Arthur retelling, I believe, and I just don't know if the King Arthur retellings are for me, or just retellings. Actually, no, I do like retellings. Well, some of them. T. Kingfisher retellings are pretty good. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, I didn't even read Legendborn, so if I really wanted a King Arthur Camelot retelling, I'd probably pick that one up first. And so this one will go to a good home also. And so next I'll be focusing on the books that I've already read that I am getting rid of. And we start first with the full Divergent series. I absolutely love these books. I read these in college. The movie was the one that inspired me to read it, the first one, and then obviously I watched the other two after I finished the series. But these books are very close to my heart. I bought these physical books when I first moved in with Kalen, and we got these big bookshelves, and I just did not have a book collection, so I wanted to buy books that I already read and loved. And so I found these at a used bookstore for pretty cheap, and so I was like, yeah, why not? I think the only one missing was Divergent, so I just bought that one separately. But these are great books. I just have the ebook version, so I don't really need physical copies on my shelves, and it's just not what I read at the moment. But it was nice to have for a little bit, but I do need the room on my shelves now. The next book is also a book I read and enjoyed, and that is Of Jade and Dragons by Amber Chen. I keep forgetting who writes things, but this is a beautiful special edition. I actually got 2 of these in separate book boxes, so I am keeping one of them, and this is the one I'm giving away, which it's always kind of hard for me to decide which of the 2 special editions I'm giving away. But because this one's so pretty, I mean, like the sprayed edges are beautiful, the hardback cover is really pretty, and yeah, it's just, this one's really heavy. The other one is smaller. You've seen it in my reading vlog for that book, but that's the one I actually read from, and I liked the cover artwork better in that one, and so that's why I'm giving this one away. But still, I recommend this book to read. And then the last 3 on this list are progressively books that I don't like. And so first off, we have Killers of a Certain Age by Deanna Raybourn. This one I read on a trip. I was really excited for it. I just don't think thrillers are for me, and this one was kind of like a fun thriller, like with old women who were retired assassins basically, but not as retired as I thought they were. And so it was a fun time. It just didn't capture me, and it just wasn't like the best thing I've read. So I don't think I've talked about this on the channel yet, but I enjoyed it. It just wasn't like something I want to or feel the need to keep on my shelves, and so I think someone else will enjoy it way more and want to keep it. The next one I also haven't talked on my channel, I don't think, but it is House of Hollow by Crystal Sutherland. This one, the vibes were everything I wanted, you know, very dark, moody, creepy, and there's so many things about this book that I did not like, especially because it kind of spoils itself, which was kind of a weird choice by the author. And yeah, just the dynamic between the sisters just wasn't for me. And so a lot of people really do love this book though, and so I mean, I think someone else will very much enjoy it more so than I am. But yeah, it wasn't a fave and not what I was hoping it to be. And then lastly, the one DNF that I am getting rid of is Voyage of the Damned by Frances White. This one is also a special edition. It's pretty. It's just not like super pretty, but I did read like 25% of this book, and I was just getting annoyed by the main characters, and just things were moving way too slow, and it was just chaotic, and I just didn't care anymore. And so I ended up like looking up the ending even also, and I was just like, yeah, I'm kind of glad I didn't move forward. But a lot of people really like this book as well. It has a lot of representation, so I think it would be great for Covenant House, and I'm not very sad getting rid of this one. So next category is books that I haven't read that I'm getting rid of, and the majority of these are special editions, but the one special edition on this list that I got in a pre-order was To Gaze Upon Wicked Gods by Molly X. Chang. This one had a lot of controversy around it when it came out, and I got it and I also didn't. Like, that didn't bother me so much. It was like everyone was calling it like a colonizer romance. I can see, but also like not see. I mean, I didn't read this, but based on what other people were saying, because you know there were mixed reviews, That part wasn't like the reason I didn't read it. It's just I've read so many mediocre Asian inspired fantasies that I just like don't want to do it to myself again. So I think maybe someone who's new to the genre would really enjoy this. But I am not, so I just thought I would, you know, not force myself through it. And hopefully I'm making the right decision, but I think I know myself well enough to know that this will not be one of my faves. Okay, into these special editions, which I feel sad getting rid of these because they're so pretty, but I can't just keep pretty books on my shelves that I'm not going to read. I want to give them to people that will want to read them, hopefully. And so first we have The Principle of Moments by Esme Jacemi Pearson. This one is a sci-fi book. I think it is like there's 3 different main characters we follow, and like there's time travel and different eras you get. So I'm not really giving you synopses for any of these, obviously, but it's very pretty, you know, some stars on the end. Just, I don't read too much sci-fi to begin with, and I just don't think this type of sci-fi, like the time travel-y aspect of sci-fi, is necessarily for me. Though I did love Kindred, but I feel like that's a very different type of sci-fi. But I've heard great things about this. I just don't know if or when I'll ever get to it, so that's why I'm getting rid of it. The next one is also another Asian-inspired fantasy that I've heard mixed things about, and I just don't feel like I'm gonna do it, and that is Fathom Folk by Eliza Chan. I've heard it just didn't end up being what people expected it to be, which is fine. And for some people, I'm sure they really enjoyed it, but I'm not gonna do it to myself. But this one is also very pretty. I said a book that like I don't think I've heard anyone talk about, and the premise didn't really interest me either. That is The Longest Autumn by Amy Avery, and I think this is about a girl who falls in love with autumn, like the god Autumn or something. And so yeah, it's just, I don't know, didn't sound that interesting, but this book is very pretty, of course. So I kept it for a little bit. The next one is a Snow White retelling, and that is Sleep Like Death by Kalen Bayron. Cool cover. I'm not a big fan of like how fairy tale-esque it is with the apple and everything. It just seems a little too much. I do think the flip cover was cooler. This book is very pretty though, but I do think the flip side is better, and you know, can't just keep a book on my shelves because it's pretty, like I said before. But you know, very pretty end papers are foiled even, but I'll let someone else enjoy it. And yeah, I just don't think like Disney retellings are for me. So yeah. This next book, this cover is like really cool, but I've also never really heard anyone talk about it. So it just hasn't really inspired me to read it, and just the synopsis doesn't do it for me. And I know it's like, oh, she only reads books that other people are interested in or reading or talking about, and that's not true. I read a ton of books that no one's talking about, but when it comes to like these special edition book boxes, they're very, very hit or miss, and usually they're misses. And that's why this year I'm really making an effort to skip the majority of book boxes unless it's something that I really think I'll read. But you know, this was my first year full of book boxes, so I wanted to see and, you know, have pretty books and all of that. But I learned my lesson. But this is To Cage a God by Elizabeth May, and yes, very pretty cover. The back is really cool. You know, looks very prismatic. Here's the art. Very, very cool. It's like a white hardback. And I'm sure someone will very much enjoy reading this. The next book I actually have heard someone talk about, and that was Claire from Claire and Her Books. She read it more recently, and she just did not really vibe with it. It was pretty meh in her opinion, and so that kind of convinced me even more to just not go for it. But this is The Girl with No Reflection by Keshi Chow. I hope that I'm saying that right. This one is like there's like this mirror world, and she falls in love with like the mirror prince, and that synopsis alone was just like, I don't think this book is for me. So yeah, I don't know why, but like a whole mirror world feels very, very YA to me. And I know this is, I think, supposed to be YA, but like that just seems like too much. So I forget what like TV show I think about when people talk about mirror worlds. And like if it was like Us level, you know, where like those types of mirror worlds, like that, like dark and gritty, I would be so down. But like this felt like, you know, I don't know how to explain it. But there's a vibe I get, and I don't know how to place it, but we're gonna have to end it there. And then the last one, this was actually the first ever special edition book I got, and it is inspired by Jewish folklore, so I was very excited about it, but I just don't think I'm going to read it, sadly. This is also a YA book, and this is This Dark Descent by Kalen Josephson. This one is about horses, and I think that's mainly the reason why I probably won't read it. And don't get me wrong, I love horses. I wanted to ride horses so badly when I was younger. At camp, I would always hang out with the horses, and so it's not that. I just don't think the synopsis is interesting enough for me, and I haven't really heard anyone talk about it either, or like have strong opinions about it. But it's a very pretty book, and it was very nice to have, but you know, gotta give it to someone who will love it. And so we are on our last two books that I am unhauling, but these are not my unhauls, these are Kalen's unhauls, and I thought I'd share them with you, because why not? But he has a way bigger book collection than I do, and he is unhauling only 2, versus I am unhauling 19. The first book he is unhauling is Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card, and I don't think he ever read it, and I don't think he will read it. You know, it's an older kind of sci-fi, Ready Player One-esque type story, and you know, it's kind of a classic like entry into sci-fi for people, but I think he's past that at this point, and so he just didn't think he would read it. And you know, it's a mass market paperback, so it's not like a super nice quality book. And then lastly is one he did read. He enjoyed it. He just didn't think it was like the best, and so he didn't feel the need to keep it. And he thinks some of the kids would enjoy it a lot more, because I think it is younger leaning, and that is I'm Not a Serial Killer by Dan Wells. He is a Dan Wells fan. I mean, he's a Brandon Sanderson fan, and you know, they do their podcast together, so I think that's why he picked this up. But yeah, I don't know if he picked up any other Dan Wells. Yeah, so that's kind of why he picked it up. But those are Kalen's picks. And so that wraps up all the books that I am giving away for trying to making this very difficult for myself. This is everything. I counted 19 and 2, so 21 books total, which is not bad, I would say. For someone who doesn't have like a huge book collection, that is not bad. And I have a lot of books on my TBR shelf. I'm also gifting some of these special editions to some people, and so I am making my way through them so I can open my shelves to books that I will finish. And so that is very exciting, but also, you know, it's sad. It's not easy to like let pretty books go, or books that you love, but you know, you have ebooks of them, or you just don't need physical copies anymore. But I'm excited to donate some of these, as well as eventually explore some little free libraries as well. Okay, Picard, stop playing with the bag. Go over there. There you go. And that wraps up this video. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day. Bye.